to have like
And we're live.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Indie Film Group. I am your host, Brianna Young. Joining us today is going to be a very talented sound engineer named Tyler Casey. We're going to be talking about indie film sound for on-set recording and even post sound. So we're going to have some good conversations today. So hey Tyler, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. You know, we just saw each other like a couple of hours ago. We're like heavily into the post-production sound for our feature
Non-stop
length.
working.
Yeah, nonstop working. I just want to say this guy, he has been working nonstop on the post sound for Bloomfield, our feature length movie. And Tyler, I don't know if you want to say how many hours you have put into it in these past couple of months.
Man,
But I mean,
we've put probably at least a solid like week and a half of our lives into this post-production, you know?
oh, a week and a half? No, like this is like at least like I want to say
Well,
3.5 weeks, like with nonstop, like
okay.
no
Yeah.
breaks. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And not even including the entire production. Like when you put all the hours we put into this movie, it's a lot. I mean, but it's paying
Yeah.
off.
Well, especially when you have deadlines to reach for a feature-length film. Bloomfield is kind of like a Christmas movie, so we're trying to get these ends tied. Um, and there's sometimes we'll be working like all night trying to get through some stuff because I feel like audio and sound recording is sometimes very overlooked when it comes to filmmaking. So I feel like it's just as important, if not more important than the look of your film. Like
Absolutely. And like you
so
said,
let's
it's very overlooked. A lot of people don't even think about a lot of the stuff when it comes to production audio that you're gonna have to clean up in post audio, which we can get into later. But
honestly, yeah, and this is the same thing. I didn't know that much about sound and production recording until I met you and I started working with you. I'm going to be honest. I think some of the films that I was making before, the audio was okay, but I don't. It wasn't until I started working with you. I've learned a lot about audio and just how much respect it's needed.
yeah, I appreciate that. It takes because a lot of directors, especially beginning directors, they don't think about things like that. So,
Yeah,
it
and
means a lot
it's
for like it means a lot for you to have to think for you to think about me like that, you know?
So, Tyler, how did you get your start to be an audio engineer? What inspired you to go after this path?
Well, I grew up playing instruments, so piano, guitar, things like that, drums. So I was always kind of doing sound. I always loved it. I always had a passion for it. But audio engineering specifically, I started probably 2015 would be like when I really actually got into it. But a few years before that, the first thing I ever recorded was just recording onto a webcam. I shut the screen, so it was like a black screen, and just recorded the audio onto it, and just had a beat playing in the background. It was kind of like how I started recording, just learning how to record voices. So once you kind of start recording voices, you start to get into instruments, and then once you get into instruments, you start putting it all together, and then you end up with miraculous projects. So
That's awesome. So, what do you think are some good learning tools for production sound and recording sound?
Um, it kind of depends because when you're talking about like a studio environment, there's going to be like condenser microphones, things like that. When you're going into production audio, it's usually going to be shotgun microphones, super cardioid polar patterns. If any audio engineer tech heads know what I'm talking about there. So there's a lot that goes into interior recording and then exterior recording. It's a little bit different, but it needs to be it has a different workflow to it. So um, yeah. So yeah.
So, what are the most important things when it comes to recording good sound? including recording indoor and outdoor?
I guess I'll start with outdoor. The most important is making sure you have control of your sources. I mean, that's always the most important, indoor, outdoor, but outdoor it's harder because you have people that could be more in their lawn. You have airplanes you can't control. You have dogs barking. You got people walking by, cars passing. So many different things that could come into play that you can't control. So when you're outside, the best bet is to find the quietest place you can find to shoot. That's why location scouting is a big part of pre-production. Um, and you can kind of work around some stuff. It's really hard. You have to wait for planes, just say hold for sound, and everybody loses the flow of what they're getting into, and you got to reset all that kind of stuff. So
Well,
finding a good location is a big key.
and I just want to add on to that. I mean, that's happened to us where we're having to record outside, post sound, say if we're recording additional dialogue recorded. And then all of a sudden these lawnmowers are, there's people partying down the street. I mean, and then the day that you aren't recording sound, it's so quiet. Why? That's just how the world is sometimes.
Yeah, you remember when we were filming Bloomfield in Kernville, we had a bar down the street, like not even far from us, and you could always hear the music coming from it.
Yeah,
And that was,
honestly,
yeah,
I feel like for other film sets or another film director, that might have been a deal breaker for them. But the day that I was location scouting, it was so quiet. I was just so
yeah,
in love with that Victorian house that we ended up setting on.
which
So
was a great location.
it's a great location, and we did run into a lot of on-set sound problems, recording sound. I mean, there are certain times where we're needing to film a scene, and you're like, there's no way I can get this audio. There's a party down the street. You can't even hear the actors. And so we have to make that decision. Well, are we going to record this right now and do ADR later? And it's crazy.
And especially with the diner scene, we had to just commit to. We knew when we were shooting it, we're like, we're gonna have to re-record all of this in post, but we had to get the shots.
We had
We
to
had to
get the
get the
shots,
scene.
and yeah, and it was a great location too, an amazing diner. Um, yeah, so I mean, it was worth it. But there, like you said, there are certain things that you're not going to be able to control when you're recording on set. So you will have to work around those things, and
Yeah,
essentially, you're making magic.
yeah. Especially, I mean, if you're on a sound stage though, then you've got it made. I mean, you can kind of control
Yeah,
almost anything there. So that's a little different, but
it is. But and so even when we were going to film school, so you and I met in film school. That's where a lot of our team that we work with together, we met in film school, and most filmmakers who become successful, they still carry on and work with those same people that they met in college with. Um, but I remember when I was wanting to shoot my thesis, they were like, "Oh, you're gonna have to shoot it inside our sound stages," and I'm like, "These
Mhm.
sound stages do not feel real to me." So I went and instead I chose real locations, and
Well,
they do.
you could barely call them sound stages. They were in like a garage, like a parking garage. So it's like, I mean,
Yeah, but you can make magic happen with sound stages. Um,
mm,
it's just sometimes it can actually be a little bit more budgetary because you're having to dress everything, and but then
yeah,
again you do have control of sound. So
yeah,
so yeah, it's sometimes it's worth it.
yeah. I mean, if you can shoot on a sound stage, that's always going to be your best bet.
So
So.
I do want to talk about ADR. So can you actually explain to us what is ADR? Because I feel like most aspiring filmmakers, they might not know what ADR is.
So basically, ADR is, I believe it stands for automated dialogue replacement.
I think it stands
Um,
for additional dialogue recorded.
there's a
You're
couple.
probably right. I'm probably wrong. I'm just saying that, but
Yeah, I always thought it
it's
was ADR. I don't know. I could Google it real quick.
yeah, it stands for automated. It's automated dialogue replacement. So
okay.
Dang.
essentially, what that means is when you're shooting on set and there's stuff that you can't control, and your dialogue gets kind of swallowed up, or maybe you can't hear your actor very well. Maybe something could be lacking in like the audio, just anything, where your audio just isn't perfect, and you really want it to be perfect because when you're making a movie, you want everything crisp. You need everything to be flowing and everything. So basically, you take that into a studio and have your actors come back in. And in some countries, they call it looping. So you basically play the files over and over and get your actor into the swing of their emotion during that scene when they shot it. And they re-record their lines. Sometimes it takes one shot, sometimes it takes 20, sometimes it takes a couple, you know what I mean? It just depends on how hard the actual line is to perform or how much you can hear it or not. So but ADR can save so much of a movie. You can make a whole entire scene like incredibly clean. You can clean up actors' performances. You can make so many things happen like magic. And it's just if you do it right, it feels like you did it on the day you shot it.
Well, and I also want to add, sometimes we'll come into conflicts where an actor will flub a line, or say if you're not reading off the script and maybe you're kind of just going with the scene, and these two actors are vibing off each other. They're not saying line for line, so they might say something wrong. Well, how do you fix that? The only way that you can go in and fix that is going into ADR, and then you re-record a line. Say, like, for instance, we had this problem in Bloomfield. Our producer, who plays Aunt Tilda, and then myself, who plays Elaine, we're in this long bedroom scene, and we actually added this scene. So it wasn't written in the script. We ended up just playing off of each other. And it's a 4-minute scene, and it's one of the best scenes in the movie that we've gotten a lot of feedback on. And she says this line, she says, oh, it's your uncle thought it was some foul play, but it's supposed to be your father thought it was some foul play. So we had to go in and re-record that line, and it's like night and day now. You don't notice it. But little things like that can really make or break your film and or enhance it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm so thankful for you, Tyler. I'm so thankful that you're saving our movie.
Yeah, we're making it happen. It's definitely
We're
coming along
making
so
it happen.
nicely.
So we actually have some examples of some ADR that we have recorded. So we want to show you guys a clip from Bloomfield with the original audio. So this is a scene where we're like, okay, we're gonna have to go back later on and record this, and then we're gonna show you guys the version with the ADR. So,
is there certain things we should be looking for, Tyler, in the audio for the first one with the new ADR?
So this scene, our biggest problems were the wind. The location we had, it was like super windy, it was a great location. Unfortunately, we just lacked the proper gear at the time. We were renting a bunch of gear from a school that we were going to, and unfortunately, the gear just wasn't top notch. So the wind, the low end on the wind, was just kind of blowing out the mic, and a lot of the actors' dialogues kind of got swallowed up by it. So that's the main problem in this scene.
and there's
cars
also
passing.
And there's also one other thing. There's an actor. We in the script, and this was a writer's problem. There was an extra line that was not needed, and so we went in and we cut their line. What did we do, Tyler? Do you know what I'm talking about? Mr. DeLagos's line. We changed something right there.
He was talking about it was your father's like only sister. There was an extra line that we had in there, but luckily he was off camera, so we decided to smooth it out and just kind of shave that line out. But yeah, you're right.
It's like magic. All right.
It is.
So if we have those clips, we're gonna play them right now.
All right,
let's go.
Have you even met her?
No, but we've had many phone calls, and she has open arms into taking you in.
I've never heard of her. She could be a phony.
I doubt that. She is, in fact, your father's only and younger sister. And since your mother has no siblings, this is the best suited choice for you.
all right.
So that's with the original audio, correct?
Yeah, it says no, but it sounded pretty good.
So that's with the original audio. Let's now show the one where we re-recorded the lines.
Okay.
You'll see a huge difference.
I've never heard of her. She could be a phony.
I doubt that. She is, in fact, your father's only sister. And since your mother has no siblings, this is the best suited choice for you.
Have you even met her?
No, but we've had many phone calls, and she is open arms into taking you in.
I've never heard of her. She could be a phony.
I doubt that. She is in fact your father's only sister. And since your mother has no siblings, this is the best suited choice for you.
Boom,
Awesome.
back.
So did you guys notice the difference? Even his lines were a little bit cleaned up. He even said them a little differently than the original audio. So it was, sometimes you can improve an actor's performance, you can improve all of the wind and everything that is going on. So what do you think, Tyler? Do you think that we did pretty good?
Oh yeah, I mean, when we were watching it the other night, I forgot to even ADR'd it. I was like, this is just, it sounds clean. It's amazing. And if you have, I mean, if you have the right gear though, you can capture great audio on set with crazy wind, but you just got to make sure that you have the right gear. Unfortunately, we lacked it, and we had to pay the price in ADR, but it's okay. We made it happen.
I know.
We made it happen.
But you know what? We made a movie. We made a feature-length movie while we were technically still in film school. So that doesn't happen very often. And I just want to point out, you know, I was wanting to make this feature-length movie at this film school. I was told no. And so I ended up going and shooting the feature-length movie on my own. And it just took so much love and all hands in from, you know, everyone on the crew and the cast and the town of Kernville that helped out. And it's just, I feel like we never expected the movie to get this far.
You guys want to show a quick trailer? Well, why don't we show the trailer real quick? You want to show the trailer?
Yeah, we actually have the
Yeah,
trailer.
the trailer.
Do you want to show? We'll show that, Tyler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a quick trailer view.
Awesome.
This isn't a once upon a time story, nor is it a love story. But like every fairy tale, there is an evil queen, a prince, a destined princess, and a wicked, wicked curse.
Have you even met her?
I'm Tilda. Tilda Crow. Well, you're in Bloomfield now, dear. And it's time to dress for that occasion.
Hey!
Have you met my niece, Elaine?
So are you hiding her, Tilda?
She's quite a strange girl. She keeps to herself.
Hey, new girl.
Were you murdered?
Let me out!
How about a piece of pie?
Alright, and we're back.
Awesome. So that's our trailer. It actually wasn't finalized. We're going to be releasing an actual official trailer in a week. So we'll be dropping that and sharing more teasers as the movie comes to arrive. But the movie is coming out this Christmas. We're going to have some screenings first, and then it'll be dropping on some streaming services. So yeah, we're really, really, really excited. So Tyler, you've still been working through this pandemic. Like, you've still been on sets, you've still been getting gigs.
Indeed, yeah. It's been weird though. I mean, having to work around all the COVID restrictions and all the guidelines and all that crazy stuff. It's been interesting. It's definitely harder to find gigs, but at the same time, a lot of people really need people because it's hard to find people to get on your gig at the same time. So it's kind of a catch-22. But if you have good contacts, so sorry, someone just came in the door. If you have good contacts and stuff, and you keep a good relationship with your contacts, you're always going to get called back, regardless if there's a pandemic going on. You know what I mean? So that's key right there for sure.
Absolutely. So how do you get your gigs? So do you build up your contacts? What do you do?
Well, luckily, I mean, film school honestly provided a lot of contacts for me. Outside of that, I've been meeting people on other sets and kind of networking that way. uh, the biggest thing is kind of just when you're working with people on your level, you want to establish the best relationship with them because they're going to be moving up at the same pace as you, sometimes even faster. And if they're moving faster and hitting you up for gigs, then you're going to be on bigger gigs even faster, you know? But all the people that are on your level are always going to be more willing to work with you and help you out because they also are trying to learn and experience and create and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, but if you meet people that are on a higher level, then obviously go for it. Like it's obviously establish that relationship, make it happen, work with that. But in reality, the best thing to do is just get as many contacts as you can with the people on your level, and that'll lead to bigger projects.
I agree. And I just want to point out that obviously the end goal for us filmmakers is to be paid on every set that we're hired on or that we go out to shoot. But sometimes that isn't the case. Sometimes you're paid later on when the film is released with contracts and stuff. So I do want to say that I feel like some aspiring filmmakers, they might want to just be making money like right off the bat. And, you could, you're going to get some gigs that are going to be paying, but I feel like you also have to build your contacts. You have to be willing to help out that, your friend that might want to be making his movie, and then he'll help you out on your movie.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's not so much like a scratching a back. It's more of like the level of respect that you have for each other's dreams, and you see their vision and you share that vision, and ultimately you want to grow with each other and sit at the same dinner table. And I want my whole team to be eating.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I want everyone to be so full and fat and filled with love. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Everybody's at the round table.
Everyone's at the round table, and then booking other gigs. It's so.
Absolutely.
So what kind of so you were talking about gear earlier. What kind of gear do you use?
So funny you mentioned that. I'm actually holding one of my microphones right here. This is actually my favorite microphone as of right now. Um, I'm a big stickler for saving money and spending big. I don't like to buy cheap gear and have to keep buying new gear because that gear is eventually going to be not very great, yada, yada, yada. So this is a Sennheiser MKH 416, and it's a shotgun mic. It's about $1,000, which is a good price point for a professional microphone if you really want to be serious about what you do. Definitely don't cut corners because this thing, if anyone here is a techie, they're going to know the rear rejection on this mic is going to provide a lot more clean audio because you're not going to pick up as much stuff in the background. Like, I don't know if you can hear the vacuum going on behind me right now. You'll still get that, but it won't be as strong. You know what I mean? And obviously, the more money you spend, the more rejection you'll get from the rear, which means better quality. But for $1,000, this is like the go-to mic. And when you do voiceover recording, this is your go-to mic 90% of the time. It's gotten me through all my gigs. I've gotten called back from all my gigs. I've never gotten complaints from editors on bad audio. This thing has saved me on all my shoots. And then I run these mics into a Zoom F8N recorder and mixer. There's the front of it. This is also about $1,000. And it's pretty fantastic. I don't want to get too deep into all the techie stuff, because maybe we can do another thing later on about all that kind of crazy stuff. But it records 8 tracks, or if you want to record safety tracks, which is what I do, you can record 4 microphones, and they'll also record on another track at a lower level. So if an actor gets loud and their audio peaks, then you have a secondary track where it's going to be cleaner. It's going to be a lower level, and you don't have to worry about ADR. That's another thing. If your actor gets loud and you distort, you have to ADR it. And if you have your safety tracks.
Well, yeah, and I just want to add, which we had to do a lot. I mean, we have these iconic moments in the movie where we have our lead actress like yelling and screaming, and she's powerful. But, an actor sometimes will just want to feel really strong and powerful. So sometimes the microphone they'll peak and it'll be really bad. And unfortunately, you want to use that performance, but you also don't want to like blow people's ears out in the theater. So we had
There's
to
nothing
go in
nothing
and
ruins a
ADR
movie
those
quicker
moments.
than bad audio.
Yeah, and I just
You
want to
know?
point out also, because these are things that I'm still learning that you would have to remind me. We're recording ADR often at our producer's house, and say if we have some outdoor stuff that was shot outdoors, you're letting me know, no, Bree, we can't we can't record this inside. We have to record this outside. And I'm like, oh well, yeah, you're right. Because do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah.
About
Yeah, so there's a thing called reverb. If you're inside a room, pretty much anywhere you go has what's called reverb. So if you're in a room, it's going to be more enclosed. You're going to get more of a boxy sound, or more of a not isolated. I'm sorry. More of like a swallowed up sound. So it's not going to be as clean unless you have a really good indoor microphone, like the Sennheiser MKH50. That's a great microphone for indoors. But when you're outdoors, it's much more open, but so you don't get that enclosed environment around the source of the recording. So if you have to do ADR, if you have an actor, like we said just now, we're shooting outdoors and we had to ADR an outdoor scene, we have to actually go set up outside and record that in the cleanest place we can find outside. All the indoor stuff, you have to find a room that's pretty similar, unless you have a really good acoustically treated room where you can record anything in there and just shape it however you want with reverberation later. But if you don't have access to like really good quality acoustic treatment, then you just have to find a good room that has a similar reverb. And it's pretty techy and it's a lot to get into, but that's the gist of it, in a nutshell. So
I love that. So I know that getting expensive and good quality gear is essential. But what if you're an aspiring filmmaker and you want to make a movie, but you don't have the money to pay an audio engineer, and so you go out and you buy the cheapest sound that'll work for you? What would you recommend that aspiring filmmaker start off with, or how could they navigate working with a very small budget, like a few $100?
Gotcha. Well, for starters, most cameras, if you're working with like a DSLR, they'll have an in-cam microphone, or at least like some sort of in-cam preamp for a microphone, so you can plug like an XLR cable in and at least run a shotgun microphone, or maybe it's like going to be like an 1/8-inch aux cable. It kind of depends on what camera you have. But most cameras will have some sort of audio input that you can plug in, and you can run your audio straight from your camera. The only problem with that is you have to be close enough to your source to get great audio. So it's better for like tighter shots. That's why recording external audio is so crucial. So if you want to go that route for the external audio, you can start with like a Tascam or something small like that just records like 2 microphones you can plug in. If you have like maybe a couple $100, you could go for like a Zoom F4, which is basically like the half of this. This is the F8, so it runs 4 tracks. That's really like the cheapest it gets is about like a Tascam or like a Sony kind of handheld recorder, and they work pretty well if you're on a budget. You just have to know that there's going to be sound generated by those machines inside the audio. So it's not going to be the cleanest, but it's definitely usable for beginning filmmakers, no doubt.
Yeah, it'll be great for them to practice and learning how to put sound together also in post. So yeah, I think starting off small is sometimes a good thing, and then you can grow as a sound
Absolutely.
engineer.
Absolutely.
So I just want to add, you guys, respect your sound guys. When they're on set and a sound guy is like, oh, we have to, everyone's wanting to move on to the next scene. The sound guy's like, wait, we need room tone. And everyone's like, oh, we don't have time. No, respect your sound engineer, because trust me, you need that room tone.
That's very true. There's so many times you just have to plug in a little Band-Aid and you just don't have it because you couldn't get it on set,
Yeah.
And it's very important. So good note.
So what advice would you give to other aspiring filmmakers that are wanting to be audio engineers?
So the advice I would give you, take pride in your work. That's like the number one thing. If you go to a set and you're just like, I'll put the mic here and we'll pick it up and it'll, we'll throw it in. No, that's not going to cut it. You got to get the mic as close as you can every single time. Know where your actor's marks are. take pride in your work and be serious about it, so that when you send it off to people, they get it in the editing room. They're just like, wow, this guy knows, like, he knows what he's doing. I'm definitely going to call him back because he makes my job easier. You know, if you have a good sound mixer on set, you can basically pass it off and just plug it in and you're good to go. So take pride in your work. That's like the number one thing. After that, like I was talking about earlier, network, keep your contacts, be you. Don't try to fake anything. Have a trustworthy system with your contacts, and know that you guys can work together freely and like create together, and keep your contacts. Don't be a person who jumps from this group to that group and trying to, you know what I mean? So find a good family and stick with them.
Yeah.
It's probably my best advice.
Do we have any questions, Ricky? I'm sorry.
We don't have any questions.
I know I didn't.
yet.
I never mentioned if you guys had any questions to ask Tyler or I. Ricky, do you have any questions for us?
No, not yet. We have Jennifer commented, magic and a ton of hard work. Kathy Young, hearts.
Aw.
Jacob, so cool, so awesome. And then Lewis says, I cannot wait.
Lewis Young, my
Heck
dad.
yeah.
Yes.
Aw,
Yep.
my
Heck yeah.
dad. Hi, Dad. Love you. My dad
Shout
is in the
out Lewis,
hospital right
man.
now.
I
He's
hope you're doing
passing
all
a
right,
kid.
Lewis.
He's passing a kidney stone, guys. He
Oh,
almost
man.
had surgery. Yeah, poor guy. My
Dang.
poor daddy. Love
He's
you,
a
Dad.
trooper.
Love you, Mom. I'm on TV. Well, thank you so much, Tyler, for joining us on the Indie Film Group. This has been a very informational episode. I feel like this has been like one of the most informational
I
episodes.
have a question.
Good.
For Tyler. Let's do a question
What's
for Tyler. So, Tyler, if you were like in an area, like say you're forced to shoot in a location that may be by a busy highway or something, you know what I mean? There may be a wind thing. I mean, what are like some kind of tips you can do to kind of like, you know, get rid of some of that ambient noise? You know, like talking to the director to maybe move the shot inside, or like, I mean, what are some kind of like ideas or options if there's
If you
a
can
lot of
convince
noise?
if you can convince your director to move an outside shot inside, you could probably sell water to a fish. I mean, but no, if you're like near a busy highway, you could do what's called like a low end roll off. Most mixers or microphones might have it. It'll cut some of the low end off of your recording, so some of those cars passing by in the distance won't be as intrusive to your audio. The biggest thing though would be to point the mic. Try to set your actors where you can point the mic away from the cars. Because the directional mics, the more you point them at the source, obviously the more you're going to get it. So if you can go away from the cars, and that's great. And also, like we were talking about earlier, room tone. If you're near cars and highways that you can't control, record like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of room tone, and just so you have any kind of like different honks or like any kind of, I don't know, cars. A lot of cars make different sounds, so you want to be able to match them up if you need them. You know, so the more room tone you have, the better.
Hey, Tyler.
What's
Some
up?
people might not know what room tone is. What is room tone?
Okay, good point. So room tone is basically every room that you're in has a sort of ambience to it, you know. When you're just standing there in silence, it's not completely silent. I mean, nowhere you go, unless you go to like a completely silent treated room, is going to be completely silent. So let's say you're in like a kitchen, for instance, and there's a fridge that you may not be able to unplug because you can't pull it out away from the wall and unplug it. You don't want that fridge to be inconsistent with your character's dialogue. So after the scene is recorded, you want to take everybody, either get them out of the set, or if they can just be quiet, just to sit down for like, I don't know, if say like the scene is like 2 minutes long, maybe get like 2 minutes of room tone just so you have the coverage. Usually it's about 60 seconds. But anyway, you just basically have everybody be quiet, and you just record the room tone, the tone of the room, the ambience, the quote unquote silence, but it's not silent, you know? So that you can use when you take it into post. Let's say like you cut from like one character to the next character, and the fridge it's jarring when you cut it. You can take that room tone and put it over that cut, and it'll be like a band-aid, and then it just like, it's like so smooth, it's like magic. It just covers that cut, and you have no idea that it even cut. So it all sounds like one take, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Tyler, I just want to add, you're kind of like a jack of all trades. You don't just do post sound. You also do on set sound, and then you also compose your own music, and you could score music. Bravo to you, because I feel like you're gonna be
Thank you.
people like you are gonna be booked more. You're gonna be booked for the package, rather than getting an on-set sound guy and then getting a post sound guy and then getting a score guy. Just get one guy, because then that guy brings in the whole package. And it's
That's a good point, and you kind of know like what to expect when you're bringing it into post. You know, like what to plan for and what to stuff like that. It's a good point.
exactly. I will mention though, for Bloomfield, you're doing you did the on-set sound and post sound, and then we do have a composer, Christophe Boucher, who's very talented. He's really made the score
stuff.
of the movie very, very magical and scary and
And it's
exciting.
crazy when you're not like, when a scene may not be coming together as you planned in your head when you were shooting it, and you bring it into post and you're kind of like, it's not really working out too great. Then you just drop some composition in there, and it's like, boom, all of a sudden the emotion is
Boom.
you bring
Boom,
it
like,
out.
Literally, the actors' performances will be different. The scene will feel different. Guys, sound design and score can really take a direction for you can change the direction of your film. You can morph stuff. You can, because visually you can tell a story, but also with sound you can tell a story. So don't just think that it's just the writing that is telling the story. At the same time, you have to be visually telling the story, and then you also have to be sound. With sound, you have to be telling the story and building the story. And back in film school, they would do lots of things where they would say, okay, make a sound design of like anything, but there would be no video. But so you'd be having to like sit there in a room, and you'd be like listening to some like War of the Worlds crazy thing that you would come up with. And I remember, Tyler, you came up with something that was just like amazing. It felt like a complete film. Like you could close your eyes and you could see everything, because you were just telling the story by what you came up with for that sound
honestly,
design and score.
That was a fun little project, because I had like friends come over and record like some VO for it, and we got into these characters, and we were like, it's almost like telling like a radio story. Like, you could drive home listening to stuff like that, and it's like you're taking like a whole trip. Like, it's crazy. So that was a fun little project. Yeah.
That was.
But sound design is crucial. Absolutely crucial.
It is. Well, thank you so much, Tyler, for joining us today on the Indie Film Group.
Thank you for having me.
I know, and I feel like I'll be seeing you probably later tonight. We're gonna be like working more on Bloomfield, so it's never ending stop, guys. Whenever you have a deadline and you have to be reaching, I mean, we're not just like taking bubble baths and like reading books. No, we're having to like get together and work long hours, sometimes 16 hours a day for 3 days in a row. It's intense. Have you guys ever seen the images of like editors and filmmakers like sleeping on seats that they put together? And that's literally what we're doing. It's very intense.
Yeah.
Any advice you have to anybody, like filmmakers, people wanting to start out in audio, anything you can give to like indie filmmakers specifically,
Like filmmakers or specifically audio?
Whatever you think would be the best advice you can give, maybe. I mean, because I feel like filmmakers need to hear more. I think audio guys pretty much know, hey, we need audio to be taken a little more seriously. Maybe something that you could give up to filmmakers to about taking audio seriously.
That's a good note.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, dang, like we said, the room tone is the biggest thing I've ever noticed, because most sets I'm on, it's like you try to get everyone to they're like, I need this room tone. They're like, we don't have time. We don't have time. And you're like, it's 60 seconds. You can't spare 1 minute of this, So, I mean, as far as advice goes, like, just make sure you're getting full coverage. Make sure you're taking everything into account, covering the details. The biggest difference between an amateur and a professional is attention to detail. It's as simple as that. It's nothing different. So,
and I want to add also sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Tyler.
No,
I want to add, as a director, it's very crucial to be also working with your sound guy just as much as you're working with your DP. So whenever you finish a scene, you're talking to your DP, you're like, how did that go? Blah, blah, blah. Go and talk to your sound guy. How did that sound? Listen to it before you move on to the next scene. So just treat them they're right here together. And I feel like I treat you and AJ the same. You know, AJ is my director of photography. You guys are sitting in the room together. Hey, AJ.
AJ, you want
Is
to
he
say what's
there?
up real quick?
Hey, AJ. That's our director of photography. Do you want to come say hi to the film group show real quick?
Do you want to come say hi real quick? Sure, yeah. You want him to sit down and take the throne?
We don't. Have to, we just want to say hi to him. We just want to.
I just have to give him the headphones.
Let's introduce him.
Okay. They just want to introduce you real quick. I just have to pass him off the headphones. So.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh Lord.
Oh Lord, he's like, I didn't expect this. I was not prepared. He was like, I was taking a nap, guys.
No, I was coloring the movie.
You're coloring the movie, dude. This guy's working so hard, man.
How's it going?
How many? Okay, so this is Anthony Ryan Johnson. He's our director of photography for Bloomfield.
How's it going?
How's it going, AJ? So can you tell us? So you're coloring the movie right now.
Yeah.
What has that been like for you, coloring the movie?
It's honestly been the most relaxing part of the whole production, I can say.
The most relaxing part. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. Because you go into your own little corner, and before when we were editing, we're like right over your shoulder and do this, do that, do
Yes.
that, and
Editing.
editing is very stressful.
But yeah, it's like 850 some shots, just, frame by
Guys,
frame.
850
all that.
shots that he has to go in and color. Each shot
Yeah.
has to go in and be colored. You started coloring the movie many months ago, an old cut of the movie just to get some ideas. But now, when you've been coloring like our final cut of the movie, you've been coloring for the past few weeks, like nonstop.
Yeah, I've been using a different software. I've been using DaVinci Resolve instead of Premiere Pro, so that's been fun.
Yeah. So how is DaVinci better than Premiere Pro?
You can just get more like in depth, like, you can do like face refinement and, go like into eyes and lip coloring and skin tones and
Oh yeah.
contrast and background and just really go crazy and have fun.
And it'll just really intensify a scene. I mean, before we've watched the movie with just the Adobe Premiere Color, and then we've been watching the color in DaVinci, and like, oh my goodness, you're going in and like lighting up these people's eyes. You can add makeup, you can fix hair, you can color towels in the background. I mean, you're
Yeah, it's
creating. In every step of filmmaking, there's a storytelling aspect. So even in the coloring that he's doing right now, he's essentially telling a story. He's going in and making all these red and connecting these colors throughout the movie with the feelings, and it all adds to the layers to complete this full length amazing project. All right, guys. Well, I don't want to keep you guys too long. You guys have been working so hard. I know we've been editing for the past 2 days, like 15 hours a day. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be seeing you guys later tonight. We'll be editing more Bloomfield, doing post sound, Foley and stuff. So
Fun stuff.
fun stuff, guys. Do you guys have any questions for AJ?
So, do you think it's better than Lumetri Color in Adobe?
Oh,
DaVinci?
definitely. Yeah, you can. I mean, that's just like basic, like highlights, contrast, like shadows, and go like in depth. But like, I mean, you can just do more, like more than just curves and DaVinci Resolve. I mean, DaVinci Resolve is actually free, compared to like Adobe Premiere and all that. So I mean,
Right.
We
you
like
do
free.
color. Yeah.
We
Yeah,
like
yeah.
free. We like that word, don't we, guys?
But yeah, it's
Nice.
a way better than just like adding a LUT that you created or something. You can DaVinci, you can just like take a still even from like your favorite movie and just like make your own like lookup. Basically, a LUT is a lookup table. If nobody knew that, but it's basically the color profiles you add onto your films.
Right.
Yes.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Well, AJ, I just want to add, you like direct and shoot music videos on top of doing like feature length movies, and
Yes,
I feel like your music videos have really made you become like an amazing colorist. You were already an amazing editor, but I really see how you've like experimented over the past year with music videos and how it's also translated into the feature length films that we're making. Yeah, you're making really good stuff, AJ.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Indie Film Group. I want to thank these guys, Tyler Casey and Anthony Ryan Johnson, for joining us. Hey guys, if anyone wants to watch your stuff, where can they keep up with you guys?
Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
Instagram and YouTube. Okay.
Shout out Bloomfield_movie.
Yes.
Right? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, so you can follow the movie Bloomfield at Bloomfield_movie on the Instagram. And then Tyler, what's your Instagram?
It's at Tyler CVSEY.
All right, guys. AJ, what's your IG?
Anthony period Ryan period Johnson.
Okay, that's a lot of periods, guys. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much, and tune in to the episode next week. We'll be having a cool guest also. So thank you, guys. Bye, Tyler. Bye, AJ. I'll see you guys later, okay? Okay, bye. Peace. Hey, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video and like the page, and we'll see you next week. If you want to be a guest on our show, just email me at brianna@hecticfilms.com.
Me. Cut. Man, this movie sucks. I'm out of here. What am I gonna do? I'm out of money.
Are you trying to make a movie, but you're running out of locations, crew, or even money? Buy my book, Cheap Movie Tricks, today and invest in your filmmaking career.